Hello and good evening, everyone. We are indeed live. My eye is still funky. Been bothering me for like 3 days. I've been putting eye drops in it, like constantly. I'm just gonna start drinking the eye drops. I think
Next
that's
time we see you, you're just gonna have like an eye patch.
dude. So my
Yeah.
eye, it's all red looking because literally the first night it felt like something was in there, and then I saw gunk in there, and I'm just doing this the whole time in the mirror, like getting gunk out of my eye, and just destroying the skin around it. So like my eye itself is getting better, but the skin around it is just stingy. It's just it's just
The
fucking
worst,
pain.
the worst thing that can happen with that too is you get just a little eyelash in there, and you
Oh
can't find
yeah.
it, but you could feel it.
It's
That's
amazing
that's the fucking worst.
how the
Worst.
smallest thing in your eye is like, just take the whole fucking eye. I don't care anymore. Like, after a half hour of something being in your eye, you're ready to just go full Odin and sacrifice half the fucking thing. Speaking of Odin, I beat God of War Ragnarok. I think I've said it like 5 times every day on the stream I talk because I'm lonely without it. There was like 35 hours of adventure for me. I miss it. I miss Kratos.
They definitely set up for a 3.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Well, so like the spoiler alert, the ending of the game. I won't spoil like major things, but like the ending of the game, the last cutscene is the kid is like, "Hey man, I gotta kind of go do my own thing for a while and find like the other giants." And Kratos is like, "Hmm." So
I know, yeah.
he pisses off, and
Well, that's the thing, like this whole father son story, and at the end he's just like, all right.
well, I will say Kratos, and I don't know how I feel about it, is much more subdued in number two. Like he's much more a father than a god of war. And you don't get a whole lot of glimpses. Like you get even the Thor fight is really tame. Like you end up just fucking Thor up and then being like, "For our children, we need to be better." And Thor's like, "All right." Like there's not
People were
even
pissed with the way Thor was designed.
I mean he's actually more true to how he's like portrayed in the real
That's the thing, like that's
writings.
what people don't understand. Like,
Well, they do portray, and it's not just the fact that it's not just like, "Hey, I'm Thor, I'm fat." Like the whole idea is he's been beaten down by Odin for so long that he's given up. So he's a drunk, he's gotten fat. Like his whole thing is he's just basically Odin's whipping boy that just like Odin insults him and tells him to go do something, and there he goes.
but I was having a conversation about this with my in-laws, my cousins, my in-laws on their side.
In cousin
And
laws.
yeah, in cousin laws. And they were talking about the game, and they're like, "Yeah, Thor doesn't look." I was like, Thor. That's how Thor looked. Like if you read the writings and the
Yeah.
stories, that's how it looked.
Well, that's why
And he's
Fat
like,
Thor in the Avengers is so cool because it's closest to real Thor than anything.
and he's like, my one cousin is like, "Yeah, like Jesus." And everybody's like, "Don't you do that?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, Jesus is not a white dude. Jesus was never a white dude." I was like, "And did you know there's a Chinese Jesus
Wait,
and a?"
wait, no, no, no! You should have jumped in and corrected and said, and yeah, by the way, that Jesus, white, Arab, whatever he was, imaginary. That's what you should have jumped in with, like telling fairy tales again, are we? How could an imaginary character have a race?
Yeah,
That's what you should have said. Come on, you didn't stick to your form, man. That's what you got to go with every
but I went
time.
on about like how like there are other Jesuses. Like if you look in Chinese culture, there's a
Oh,
Chinese
there's a
Jesus.
story for every culture of Jesus.
Yeah,
It's
there's.
just the minor details are changed.
And I guess one of her cousins she's like, I'm gonna go check on my daughter, and they actually left the party because they got mad. Like at the
I guess
conversation we were
I
having.
guess my question to you is it really so wrong for somebody to like, even if you vehemently disagree that Jesus exists, the way I look at it is like, even if I don't believe in that shit, if it brings you comfort, like if you are a better person or a happier person because you believe in a higher entity and that fulfills you, I don't know, man. Like as long as you don't fuck with me,
Yeah,
like
that's
enjoy
that's the
church,
thing.
I
Like,
guess.
Just
I'm
don't
just not
push your shit on
going.
me.
Like enjoy your
you
hymns, I'm just
believe
not
what you want to
singing.
believe. With that said, Matt, I attend church once a year.
Oh, I used to have to for my grandmama.
I do it.
What's up,
I attend
Fabian?
church once a year, and I go more than some of the people who believe in her family. But I just troll them hard because that the
Is
one
it
who left
is it
is
Catholic or
very.
is it like Orthodox or something?
It's no, it's Catholic.
Dude, Catholics are hardcore.
Dude, they don't fuck around.
Like-
and they exercise. Like my wife gets pissed because I'm like, after we're done, I'm like, oh, we don't have to go do leg day. Like we just did
Right.
it.
Also, isn't it fucking weird that out of nowhere the whole room is singing the same song and you're like, I don't know the words.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Like I see them, but I don't know.
They tell you
Do, re,
they
mi,
tell
fa.
you
I
the
don't
name.
know.
They tell you the name and they expect you
Yeah.
to find it on the page real
Oh,
fast.
oh, by the way, one of Jen's cousins had a Greek wedding, so the songs were in Greek. He's like, okay, we're going to a oh man, it's, what? Like I don't even try to. I'm a heathen. Turn around, look at me, hiss. I don't care. Like I'll just sit there, the heathen, my arm around my wife. You know, it'll be the same thing at the end times when she gets like sucked up, and I'm just like, nah, nope.
Well,
By
my wife looks at me
association.
because I always look around and I have this bewildered look on my face, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, this is what a cult looks like.
A little bit.
The only difference is the guy up there is saying he's for somebody else.
Yeah.
And in a cult, the
It's for
person
the-
up there is usually it's me.
I believe it was Creed Bratton who had the quote, cults are great both as a leader and a follower. You make
Yeah.
you make more money as a leader, but you have more fun as a follower.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I'm not against religion, and I'm not going to classify myself as an atheist, which I'm not going to tell like people like your God doesn't exist. No matter how I feel, I don't care. Like I think that's where I am at life. Maybe where I've always been, where like I'm atheism by design of just like I don't care. Like I appreciate that you believe in something, but I don't care. Like this is the deep end of the pool. Okay, your beliefs are for the 4 foot area. Stay in the 4 foot area. If you merge into the deep end, you better know how to swim because I don't care.
The problem I have with religion is the money. They say that they don't, like you don't need the money, you don't need this, and all of a sudden they come out with their trays and asking for more money, and you look around and everything's like so elaborate.
Have you
It's
ever been in the
fucking-
wonderful Pullman area of Chicago where the House of Hope is? Have you
yeah.
seen the fucking House of
No,
Hope?
I-
Dude.
It's a goddamn stadium. The
Oh
first
my-
time Jen
yeah.
drove me by this place, I'm like, what is this? I didn't realize there was a stadium in Pullman. And she's like, it's not. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, it's a church.
Steph did the same thing.
And I was like, this
she's
is a fucking church? This is literally where people play hockey. It's not a church. I mean, it's all state. Like, it's huge.
But Steph's
crazy.
like the Catholics of Steph's family don't believe like those are extremists. But she pointed out, she's like, that's a church. And I'm like, no fucking way. Like, she's like, yeah,
But
it's a church.
by
And
the-
we drove around it a little bit because I had to like
By the
take
way,
it in.
if you drove a little bit more down by the expressway, the strip club was like a block and a half down. You literally have this giant mega church, and then a block and a half down used to be a strip club named the Factory.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I've been over that
literally.
way.
Yeah, you remember when you remember when you would drive down to Indiana, taking 94 into whatever, and you see there's a place called the Factory, and you're always like, that looks like a nightclub. It was a strip club, just outside, just before the border of Indiana, basically.
Where my wife's from in the Philippines, they have a church that's built entirely out of coral.
You better wear some
crazy.
flip flops. It's gonna get
It's
you.
amazing inside there.
Alex just goes into it for the scenery. He's like, these are just beautiful. I mean, no, shut up, God. These are beautiful, though. It would be probably. See, that's the thing is if I went anywhere for travel, right? And that even means in the United States. At this point, my first priority would be to have fun. And my second priority would be video or photos. Like, video is cool and all, but like, before I go traveling anywhere, that includes Disney, I want a nice DSLR. Plain and simple. Like, I want a nice camera that goes up, that goes up to a nice resolution. Because it's like, I'm kind of a photography guy, but, you live in this, where am I going to, I'm going to take photos of the fucking snow in the city for the 1000th time?
Dude, my wife
I
has
got a good one.
the new I give it to the iPhone and the Google phone. She has learned to tweak in professional mode on the phone camera.
Oh,
Where like her photos on the phone are better than her DSLR camera now.
so I have the iPhone 13, so the camera's still exceptional. But it maybe it's just something with the like, I don't know, there's a difference between this and the fucking cha-ching, you know what I mean? Like, it's as powerful as the cameras are. If I had money, I would honestly just buy like the best cell phone you can buy and just have no data plan on it and use it for music and fucking camera.
Yeah, that's
You know
I've
what
seen
I
a lot of
mean?
people do that.
Like, but I don't,
I worked with a guy that did that. Like all his photos that he ever took were from the phone camera. and they looked amazing.
I
And I'm
have
like, "Holy
taken
shit."
some really nice shots with it. The iPhone especially. Like, I haven't had a Samsung in a few generations, but I remember when I had a Samsung, the iPhone cameras always were a step ahead. But now they've all got Octa cameras and shit in them. You can fucking take dick pics from a mile away. It's you go down the block. I'm gonna drop trowel. I'll watch you turn around. That would be a funny way to dick pic.
Some of those phones on the back of them look like Arnold holding that rocket launcher.
Yeah,
with the
I've seen the phone covers for that.
Yeah, the phone covers with the Arnold. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I saw this video of this girl's like, I put my phone in my back pocket and check this out, and it's supposed to be all men like looking at her ass, right?
Yeah.
But realistically, it's just like, is that a phone in her pocket? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, most of them are just dudes like, is she recording? Like,
because those phones are so big and the pockets are so small. Like,
Yeah.
why is it like that?
You're really drawing attention to yourself. Like, it's hard to be like, they're all check. Are they? Or are they just like looking at you because you're clearly recording them and they fucking know it?
Probably that's
We were walking, we just had breakfast, and then we were walking across the street to a Starbucks and my wife wanted to pick up the cups. We were hunting cups.
And this just real quick. God damn, are they getting expensive?
Dude, yeah. Oh, God.
I went to a Starbucks and there was a nice flowered pattern one. It was like ceramic shelled flower pattern. And I go to ask her, because if it was $20, I'd be like, okay. And I'm like, how much is that? And she goes, scans it, $27.99.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding
we
me?
We ordered the new Disney one. It was $70
for a cup. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious, are you ever planning on like selling them, or are they purely just to sit around and not be used? Like, do you go through a different one every day?
My wife always orders two. So the 50th anniversary one we sold for $500.
Okay, so you are flipping them. Okay.
We sold one. So we have two of the new one. She'll probably flip it eventually down the road.
Okay.
But this woman was walking in front of me.
You guys are
and
like
she had
American
her
pickers
phone.
for Starbucks cups. Like, all right, I'll give you $24 for the bicentennial Starbucks cup there.
She had her phone in her back pocket, and it was a holy back pocket. It was those stupid ass pants were like,
oh God, the distressed
and the
ones.
phone, as she was walking, was sliding through the hole. And my wife pointed it out. She's like, look at the phone's gonna fall. So I step forward and I catch her phone. But when she turned around, my head was ass level and my hand was under her. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, how dare you? And before I could say anything, my wife was like, hey, fucking idiot, he caught your phone. It was falling out of your pocket. Oh.
So that's the difference between men and women, right? If women have jeans with a bunch of holes in them, it's because they bought them that way. If men have them, it's because they've worn them for so many fucking days.
Yeah.
That, like, I've got a pair of pants that has no pocket insert. So, like, if I put a phone in that side, it goes right down the pant leg. Like,
yeah, I don't fucking understand that style. I don't.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't get it either. It's is that how privileged we are as Americans, that we have to buy clothes that look like they're beat to shit to feel like we're not?
Beat the shit. Dude, they sell jeans where like from just
the
under
thigh,
your crotch to your ankles, everything's missing.
Or what about the ones that the entire thigh is just frayed?
I don't get
like,
it.
Yeah, no, I kill them all. Speaking of
buy them with the holes in there,
you should have thrown her phone on. Yeah, you should have. Were you in a mall?
No, we were on the street. We were walking across.
Oh, you should have thrown it into traffic. You should be like, all right, fuck you then.
Instead of giving it to her, I should have put it right on the ground.
If you would have done that, you would have had to have like the Sigma male and the Andrew Tate song play behind you in slow motion walk away. Just that would have been a pretty badass move though if she was like, excuse you, and you're like, oh, I'm just fucking pieces of phone go everywhere. Then you just walk away because fuck her. We haven't mentioned it yet, and we're still not gonna. We are reviewing a movie, Poolhall Junkies. But by the way, have you guys seen that, as I said, Alec Baldwin is officially a murderer being charged for involuntary manslaughter, which is the charge I said he should be charged with.
He's like, I didn't pull the trigger. How the fuck does a gun go off?
He did.
So here's the science. Here's the science of how the gun went off. For one thing, he was also said to be walking around set playing like he was shooting people.
Pew, yeah.
Yeah.
So with the gun he had, because it's a revolver, if you compress the trigger and then cock it, because that trigger spring is already compressed, if you release that cocking mechanism so the hammer goes, it's going to
Snaps.
fire.
Yeah.
So what
hammers
they
down.
assume happened was he had trigger pulled, and he cocked it for whatever. For one thing, you're not actually filming. Why is your finger on the trigger? Why are you cocking it? He does have validity in saying, why the fuck would you hand me a hot weapon? That's absolutely true. But I am also of the opinion that you bear responsibility. There's a weapon in your hand. You have responsibility. So the thing is, people have argued with me that it isn't his responsibility to check that it was loaded because that's not his job. Okay, why is your finger on the trigger? Why are you cocking the actual revolver when you're not even filming a scene? It would be vastly different if they were filming it and it went off, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because then it's, okay, we're live, it's hot, I'm going to do the scene, I'm going to pull the trigger. That makes sense. But you're framing the scene. So you're just getting the camera alignment. You have no business pulling the trigger and you have no business cocking the hammer. None of that is going to change in your cinematography. Especially with a dead-on angle, because it had to have been a dead-on angle because they were behind the camera when he fired.
Even for framing, you use a prop. You don't use the actual firearm.
Or why even have a firearm on you for framing anyways? Unless it's a close-up zoom cut, which I don't think it was. I'm almost positive it was a straight-up so you could see the barrel and like him in the background almost.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that he did that were negligent that resulted in her death. The armorer also got and they should have involuntary manslaughter. They're culpable too. If you handed that dumbass piece of shit celebrity a loaded weapon, that's involuntary manslaughter. What this really brings up is this is really going to reinforce the lawsuits from the family. If he's getting an involuntary manslaughter charge, then the lawsuit is he killed her. It was ruled as manslaughter. I want money for it. But the problem with Baldwin is he's just such a fucking loudmouth. Like on Twitter, and he's very opinionated, and he's just kind of a piece of shit. So it's like when this happens to a person like that, people are going to cheer it because it's like, well, you've been a fucking douchebag. Like you're the dude that was recorded on phone calling your daughter a fucking pig. So it's like, you're a piece of shit, dude. Fuck you. My voice is shot, bro.
This movie's not going to get made. It's going to become a documentary.
Well, yeah, but here's the problem: is he's going to look for any way to benefit and profit now. Like that's why the whole thing was like he was pushing to get the movie restarted, and it's like because he's heavily invested in it.
Yeah,
because they're saying that they're saying that there is a sheet of people that are going to actually have a lawsuit against them.
Well, yeah, it'll be a documentary called Courtroom Footage, when they're going to show in the courtroom the exact scene because they were recording it, so they can review it.
It's just common sense when you're handed anything dangerous. I was a chef for 5 years, and people who I worked with as sous chefs who we hired, if I turned around, I've caught people like playing with knives in the kitchen. What the fuck are you doing? You're fired. Get out of here. What's wrong with you?
I'll tell you right now, if you ever give a hot pan to a dishwasher and you don't tell them it's hot, that's grounds to get your ass beat by them. I'm just saying. I worked at Chipotle and burned my hand that way. And I wanted to beat the fuck out of the guy. And I think I should have been able to without losing my job, frankly.
Yep.
I did get fired from that job for not smiling.
Another asshole I would like to bring up.
My entire armrest just fell off my chair.
Another asshole I would like to bring up is Adam Sessler.
Oh, what a piece of shit that guy is.
Dude, did you hear what he said on the podcast? He was on like, I don't like gamers. I never like gamers. I just made money off of them.
Yep.
I was like, what the fuck?
He's been on that role for a while now, though. I don't even know how to fix
He
this.
has lost it mentally. That man is gone.
I mean, he was always a bitch.
He was.
Like, there was never a time when he wasn't a bitch. But, he's melting down because, I mean, you got to remember, he was only relevant because people, like, think about his role in G4 before the revival. Because he was heavily into the revival. Like, he was the main face. And then, but think about what he did on G4 prior to that. He literally was the nerdy fuck that nobody cared about because Morgan Webb was talking about games. Like, let's be real. Like, and then then G4 morphed into so much less about gaming, and like you had Attack of the Show, but then everything else, like you had the reviews. What was on G4 by the time it went off actual TV? I can't remember. Besides the couple things that everybody knows about, you know what I mean?
It got pulled from my cable provider so many times I couldn't find it, so I never got to watch it.
That was the thing, and then I tried to watch some of his because like it started during the pandemic. Can you believe this? Just can't. And
your Shaq chair.
I've got no armrest. I'm gonna just wrap a towel around it like it got shot in the field, and we just gotta tourniquet it. Look at this. This is not comfortable without an armrest. Actually, it's not bad. It's smooth metal, so at least it's kind of cool and relaxing. But now I look like I got a hunchback.
Next time we record,
like
Matt's
you're
just
driving a
gonna
car.
build a wall that's attached to it. Like a lead on it.
It's just me, like, there's a folding thing that comes down here, and it's just like, no, that's just my armrest, guys. How am I going to play keyboard and mouse games like that, though? Like, that's going to be uncomfortable. This will be uncomfortable. It's a bad day for me here, guys. I've had a bad New Year's. My dog died. My fucking armrest came off my chair. I got a gunky eye this week. It's all shits for Matt.
Your life is a country song.
This is
Only if I had a good country song voice. Like there's just dudes that's like that guy looks like a fat oil rigger and he's just like, hello. It's like, oh fuck you. You and your natural born talent, piece of shit. You know, people have to work to do that. Yeah, Alec Baldwin's a murderer officially. Did people die this week? Like, oh yeah, David Crosby, right?
Crosby, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the sperm donor for Melissa Etheridge's child, because she was a lesbo. Little known factoid of the VH1 era. I'll tell you that much. We've had a few. Robbie Knievel died, oddly enough, at 60.
Yep.
Who else is dead?
I know, right?
Jeff Beck,
Oh, that's right. Jeff Beck died.
the guitarist, yeah.
Wasn't he in Johnny Depp's band? I thought he was like a close friend of Johnny Depp, unless it's Stevie Ray Vaughan. One of them is, but I thought it was Jeff Beck.
I believe him and
I believe in a thing called love.
Jeff played together.
By the way, the lead singer of that band is incredibly talented and has a good YouTube channel. Justin Hawkins Rides Again is his channel. Check him out. All right, let's talk about a movie. And my fucking chair. You could tell my brother and dad put this together. The fucking armrest comes off. I'm just gonna flex seal this bitch. Oh yeah, the Briscoe wrestling guy. Also the other wrestling guy who died in the car accident.
That's the Briscoe, Jay Briscoe.
Oh, I was thinking Jerry Briscoe. Are they related?
No.
No affiliation. Yeah, so a bunch of celebrities are dead. That sucks for them. We're reviewing a movie. Poolhall Junkies. Has anyone who's watching ever seen this fucking movie? Or heard of this movie?
This is
Giovanni,
the first time I've watched it, and I liked it a lot more than I thought I was.
had you
going
ever
to.
even heard of this movie?
I have heard of it. Poolhall Junkies.
Probably because I've talked about it. So
I've heard of it before. I never really watched it though.
This is a movie that I feel like you only saw if you were a Blockbuster addict. Like this was the type of movie that if you only saw this because you had walked around the store 3 times, had seen most of the shit available, and you had a fucking free rental or something, and you were like, fuck it, I'll try it. I feel like that's the only way normal people have seen this movie. Because, like, I saw it because of that exact reason. Like, I don't even think I was working at Blockbuster yet. Maybe I was. But when it came out...
2002? No, you weren't.
No, way before I was working at Blockbuster. So, like, this was just, I had we always had the movie pass. Or whatever rewards or whatever. And I remember seeing it on the shelf and being like, oh, fuck it, I'll try it. And I remember back then really loving it. And then rewatching it, I still really dug it, to be honest with you. It's a well-written movie. There's really to be fair though, not a whole lot to it. Like it is a dramedy. Very much, it's like a Tarantino meets Kevin Smith film. Like the writing and dialogue is really good, and the characters are all kind of grounded to a realistic level. Like the stakes are never, you know what I mean? Like none of the characters, like besides Ricky Schroeder, is really anybody for, like, you got mob dudes, you got Christopher Walken, which I love Walken's character in this. The fucking Daddy Warbucks of Poolhall Junkies. It's great.
Chaz Palminteri.
Oh, you know, right. I have Chaz Palminteri, or is it
Chaz Palminteri?
Chaz Peppermintini.
There you go.
Elementary.
Allison Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's daughter.
Rod Steiger.
Oh,
I
is that
remember
it
him.
was Clint Eastwood's daughter was the girl?
Yeah.
Man, that old racist makes cute looking chicks. Get it? Get
Rod
off my
Steiger was more of a
lawn.
voice actor though than anything in his later.
Who was he in this?
He was, yeah.
He
He
was
was a
Nick.
voice
He was
actor.
the Poolhall owner.
Oh yeah, that guy's awesome. What was the other one he was in though? He was in. Oh, what is the action movie he's in where he's like you're gonna get yourself killed? Fuck.
Rocky? Just kidding.
No.
I had thought
know-
that too,
oh
but
my
no.
God.
Like he's like doing a diatribe of a
End
speech.
of Days.
Yes,
He's the
yes,
father.
he's the priest.
Yes.
Yes, there are
Priest.
things you cannot comprehend. Yes,
That's it.
that okay. I couldn't remember who he was in one of those style movies. There are things happening right now that you could not begin to comprehend.
Yep.
I liked him in this role too. He was very much that,
I did too, yeah.
like I'm trying to look out for you, kid.
He was also the general in Mars Attacks.
He was. Yes.
Dude, how the
I love
fuck
that
did they
movie.
get Jack Nicholson to be in Mars Attacks? Like how?
I don't.
Like he's
That
fucking
movie's
Jack
so
Nicholson,
good.
and not only is he in it, he plays two roles, and one of them is just a total fucking goon of a character. Like, good for Tim Burton on that one. Did you guys see that they were talking? The director of Nightmare Before Christmas is like, I'm really getting tired of Tim Burton getting all the credit for that fucking movie.
Yeah.
Because all he did was produce it, right? And it was like his
Yeah.
animation studio or something, or Stop Animation. Which I agree. It's not a Tim Burton movie. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, it's that dude's movie. Even though it feels like a Tim Burton movie, because of course
It does very much feel like
slapped
one.
his fucking name on it from the very get-go. But Poolhall, so I will say about Poolhall Junkies, the beginning is a little confusing.
Yes.
Like, it just kind of starts, and then there's a flashback, but you don't realize it's a flashback because they don't really edit it together well to give you the idea. And then the next scene happens. So the whole idea is the main character, who I've seen in other movies, but he's really never got big. He is with Chaz Peppermint, and basically Chaz has kind of like groomed him as a teenager to be this fucking hustler of a pool hall guy. He plays pool really well. Then it's cuts to a flashback where the dude's sitting there and guys from the actual professional pool association are like, why didn't you ever come to the pros? Like, we sent letters, we talked to a dude named this, and it's the Chaz Palminteri's character. And then it goes back to the present where he fucks over Chaz Palminteri, and that's how the movie starts. So the beginning is disjointed, which I felt when I first watched it, and I definitely feel it when I watch this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it threw me off, and I think that's where I got the feeling like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna like this movie. It just gives you a weird.
Also, the
Weird
introduction
vibe.
of his like dipshit friends is a little like, you kind of grow to like the characters, but at first it's like, or not
It
his,
was-
his younger brother and his
Yeah,
younger
it
brother.
was
Yeah.
more of his brother's friends. He was just playing the bigger brother figure to all of them.
I do very much sympathize with his character when he starts selling motorhomes. Because as a salesman, I've sold lots of things, and there are those days where it's like you get somebody you could sell to. Like, even when I was on the road selling shit, I would sell something and then still have to wait 3 hours for the next appointment because I was good, I was quick. And if there are those moments of just like, fuck me. Like, I know I can talk these people into fucking buying the clothes they're already wearing from me, but God, I gotta sit around.
What would have made that one scene really good, the one where he's trying to hurry up and get out to go see his brother play, is if like he actually goes to check on the trailer and they're inside having sex while
That
he's
would've been
fucking
funny.
waiting there to sell the trailer.
Yeah.
It would have put a little more into that scene.
Then you could have seen the angle where she's watching him and he like jumps out of the trailer and like falls or something and kind of looks around and just walks away. His character, the main character, is almost too nonchalant though. Like, he's too cocky.
Yeah.
Like, throughout the whole movie, he's just kind of a cocky son of a bitch, which works
you know
in
what?
some scenes, but not every.
I think that's why the approach was he wants to be a professional. He doesn't want to be suckering people out of their money
Doesn't want to
anymore.
be a
Yeah, he's
hustler.
done
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, and I think it fits because of his cockiness, because he really wins through the whole movie until he gets his hand fucked up.
And
Like,
even,
he doesn't have a low.
Spoiler alert, even at the end he comes through.
Yeah, he does. But I think
Well, 21 years if you haven't seen it. 22
the
years.
the fact that his behavior is like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of this. I think it works.
And he, to his credit, because he's trying to make it work with the girl he's seeing, he tries to give it up. I mean, but to be fair, not only is it what he's good at, but I mean, it's a skill he has honed over years. So it's like,
Mhm.
if you're a great painter and somebody tells you, well, we don't want you making money that way anymore, you can't paint shit on the street anymore for people.
Yeah,
You know
he's
what I
just
mean?
shy of 30 years old. His character's just shy of 30 years old.
He's been at it for like 15 years or something, or 16
Mhm.
years, because I think Chaz got him when he was like 14 or some shit like that. So
Yeah.
like, one of my favorite scenes, and one of the things, and I have a question to you guys, right? The scene where he's with the rich dudes playing, and he hustles them, and he hustles for the chick's job.
Mhm.
Is that him overstepping his bounds, or is that her not understanding that dynamic of, it's not personal, we made a wager? Like, this guy that I made the wager for, before she realizes that it's her boss, what's up, Joel?
I would
Like,
also argue
Mr.
decision.
Bochy.
So what he's always used, when you see him through the movie, what he's always used his hustling for was to do good things for her.
for him,
Oh, you
and
forgot
her,
my
everybody.
yeah,
And
you
his
forgot my
family,
birthday.
yeah, and
He
his family.
didn't. He's trying to get his brother in the right place. The bet
Yeah.
he made, and I think it's also more to, because he's been told by his girlfriend, by everybody around him,
Get a
the
real
shit you're
job,
doing.
quit what
Yeah,
you're
get a real
doing,
job. I think it's more to tell himself, like, this is okay, what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is good, and I can produce good from it. And I think that's why he made that
No,
bet.
oh yeah, he definitely was thinking about her. It was definitely like, and I guarantee you, in that moment, it's like she's busting her ass. She's good at what she does. I can finally help her. But my thing
It is a little overstepping. It is.
okay. So I would agree, but I also kind of look at it like, she doesn't understand that dynamic, as far as like, you have rich, powerful dudes in a room making
Mhm.
wagers. Like, they play with people's lives. They doesn't, you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
for him to do that, it isn't like it's, I don't know. I do find it to be somewhat overstepping, because you are directly impacting her bosses, but for him, he kind of looked at them as eye to eye, because he walks in and he starts to clean up, right? He just starts to destroy them. So he's not looking at them as like, oh, you got power over me. He's looking at it as, I got power over you, and I'm going to leverage my power to help my lady. So like, it's noble, but it is a bit overstepping.
I would also argue that his decision wasn't entirely his fault, which I would argue against overstepping a bit, because Christopher Walken's character
It's
kind of
awesome.
eggs him on a bit. Yeah, he's awesome in this movie, but he eggs him on.
I do
in
love
that
the scenes
whole
where he's
thing.
just kind of sitting there, and like, you could,
Yeah.
he's not even saying anything, but you could, like, in his voice, you're just like, yeah, play. He's just like,
I
got that look on his face.
Even when he starts making the bet and he looks at Christopher Walken's character,
He's just
Christopher Walken's character, gives him the, like,
he's just
do
so
it.
rich.
Like,
He's just having
But-
fun. He's just like,
But if he had known that it was his niece, do you think Christopher Walken would have been like, all right, let's do this?
I
Or
think
would
so.
would he have backed off a little bit?
I don't
Because
think
it's
so.
his family.
I don't know. I almost feel like if Christopher Walken would have known that he was dating his niece, he would have, and if he had seen his
If he was making that
skills-
bet. If he
Yeah,
was
like,
making
if
that
he-
bet though, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know
I
either,
don't
because
think
when
so,
you look
'cause
at
I feel
Christopher
like-
Walken's face when he finds out that that's who he has a
Yeah.
very much like, oh, you son of a bitch, you. Like, he's got that kind
Yeah.
of like, almost
He's
like,
like, oh,
analyze
this is
that,
your
where he's like, you're
Johnny?
good. You're
Like,
good.
the minute he met Christopher Walken's character and he mentioned the whole pool and talking about it, I felt like there's like, wait, something's fishy here.
Yeah.
Like, they knew something
Well,
about each other.
that's the thing, is you get that feeling that the entire time Christopher Walken, not knowing he was dating his niece, knew the guy was a fucking hustler. Like, he
Mhm.
knew he was like a con man, because you almost get that impression that Christopher Walken is a con man in business. Not a con man, but
Right.
he's sly. He's like, that's
He
how
was
he's
taking
made his
advantage
money.
taking advantage of the situation that he was given.
Yeah, like
Not
it,
knowing
almost
that
like he
was his-
kind of
yeah.
related to the main character in that of like, you're like a younger me. You know, I'm doing my
Yeah.
voice. I'm squeaky. I'm fucking
Just-
pubescent right now. God damn.
just in a different field. Yeah.
And that's true. You find that out also later in that bet because he points out, I'll do it with one hand. I'll make that shot again. And Christopher Walken gives up his he's like, I'll give you my beamer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can have my
Oh,
beamer like
so-
right after.
So what the ending we'll talk about because I really love the dynamic that Walken brings into the end scene. So throughout the movie, you know, like I said, it's not a movie where it's like, oh my god, this happened. It's a movie of kind of this dude's life as he's trying to grow from con man to like legitimate working real jobs, and he gets pulled in because that's his skill. So for him, it's not necessarily like he doesn't want to change. He tries construction, he tries selling trailers, but
Mhm.
money's not easy in those fields. So for him, you know, he needs $3,000. I'll go to the pool hall. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of his dynamic of that's how he's always made money. If he ever's needed money, he goes and hustles some dudes at the hall, and that he's got $5,000 in his pocket. His brother is very much leading down the same path, and a big story arc is he's trying to get away from that for him. He's trying to pull him away from it. And unfortunately, his brother gets hustled by Ricky Schroeder, who is a pro player, who is also Chaz Palminteri's new kind of protege, who he's grooming, or basically weapon that he's just bringing into the pool halls and like making money off of.
He's a hired
Mhm.
gun. Yeah.
And he hustles. Fuck, what's his name? Alex Rosenbaum, Michael Rosenbaum, is the main character. Is the guy Lex Luthor from Smallville.
Yeah.
Is the guy from that's who he is. He's the younger brother, and I think he was down like $5,000 or something. And Chaz Palminteri essentially threatens his life, and then that sucks him back in again to where he's now kind of playing to fight for his brother.
He tried to win back the money that his friend ended up losing to him.
Yeah,
Because
literally
he was giving him
his buddy gets
the
hustled. He
break.
comes in and gets hustled harder.
He was giving him the break of pulling 4 balls off the table from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Oh, this is great. This is a great idea."
And to the main character's credit, he's gotten through to his brother because his brother even tells his friend, "Dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, he's hustling you. You're not seeing it."
You also have the other dynamic of the younger brother's friend who goes away to, like, he's supposed to be going to LA or something to live his life as a rapper or some shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's gonna go live with the turtles.
Yeah, so you have,
Ernie Reyes Jr.
There's drama. Chaz Palminteri gets a hold of the main character, busts his wrist up, so you kind of get a montage of like him trying to heal and train. It basically has everything except for Bonnie Tyler's "I Need a Hero" in it, and so it culminates in like it's now the showdown, right? Like they're playing. It's Ricky Schroeder versus the main character, Chaz Palminteri on one side, the older brother. He's doing it on his own. He starts getting into some dire straits. His wrist is fucking with him. Somehow the one kid just keeps giving him stacks of money. And he ends up tracking the kid outside, and he's getting the money from the other friend who left town. He's basically taking his entire life savings.
Mm-hmm.
So he has some issues with that. Then he goes in, he starts to run out of money again, and who fucking pops up but Uncle Walken? And what's really awesome about the end and the climax is it was far less for me about the battle between our guy and Ricky Schroeder. It was much more about the battle between Walken and Chaz Palminteri.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the scene where he basically calls him out for being a hustler, and it's like, right there, all you got, I'm gonna buy you out. And he just like goes fucking nuts on him. And
Dude, he tells him, he's like,
Like
I'm a millionaire.
$80,000.
He's like, it's just 80,000. I'll have another 80,000. Like, it's not a problem.
But then Chaz is like, I don't got that big of a bet. And he's like, what about your ring? Your ring. Like, it's pure Walken. When
What's that worth to you?
it's his most underrated performance. Like, this movie has gone under the radar so much. People don't, like, you always see that quote. You see the quote about the lion. The story he tells him in the bathroom about the lion. You've seen that. If you've never seen this movie, you've seen the Christopher Walken scene where he's talking about the lion and how they fuck with him. And he doesn't move, and more fuck with him, and more eat his food and get in his territory until one day the lion has to stand up and tear the shit out of everybody to let him know who's boss. You've seen that scene. That's from this fucking movie. And that's how underrated and kind of obscure this movie is you have an incredible performance by Walken in this that nobody knows about except for that fucking scene. You see it in like YouTube shorts and shit every now and then.
Yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh shit, that's where it's from."
Yeah, people think
Like-
that scene is from King of New York. No, it's this movie.
No, the one from King of New York is if a nickel bag goes down in the Bronx, I want in
See,
it.
you guys have seen A Bronx Tale, presumably.
Yes.
My favorite scene is when the bikers come to the bar.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, no, now you can't leave. And it's just fucking mayhem. Another great movie. If you haven't, that's got a good story behind it. Chaz Palminteri was doing that as a play. And they offered to buy it from him to do a movie on it where he would write and direct if he wanted to, but they wanted De Niro in his role. And he told them no. He's like, if I this is my shit, I'm that role. If you don't want me in that role, you don't want the movie. And that's how he got it greenlit and everything, because he was doing it as a play.
Okay.
Yeah, see, Joel's seen that. Yeah, that scene is actually from this movie. And it's all about, like, you know, his wrist is fucked up. He's down money, and he's kind of like, I don't know if I could do this. And
Walking
Walken
throwing
just
up in the sink.
walks in there like a fucking badass and is just delivers that story, and it is like the motivational story. And it's, like I said, man, this movie's underrated, and it's very much under the radar. Like, nobody's heard of this fucking thing. And if you have, it's because you're old like me.
Aside from the weird time jump that they don't explain, or the
Those
past
initial flashback to
Yeah. It starts strong. I love the whole conversation about the N-word and how it twists
yeah.
against the fucking hustler.
Which
Like, it was
you-
so fucking funny.
did you guys notice who he is?
He's I don't remember his name, but I know the actor.
He's the teacher from Substitute. He's the one.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
the simp.
Yeah.
Basically, he's the one that was like fawning after the woman teacher.
Yeah, but I love when he tells the hustler, he's like, "You
Blonde
haven't
plumber.
heard the whole story." Like,
well,
and then they fucking take Chaz out.
well, yeah, you have that whole line, that whole dialogue about
Yeah.
the math teacher. That whole dialogue about, and if you guys clearly haven't seen the movie, there is a cleverly written conversation between a black character and our main guy who's white about the use of the N-word with the A and how it relates to friendship and whatnot. And then at the end of it, basically, this is where our guy screws over Chaz Palminteri, and the black guy's like, "You think I would let him talk to me like that in my place without some shit going on? Come on!" And if you, like I said, this movie is on Peacock. If you haven't seen it, I don't know how long it's going to be out there, because honestly, I had been looking for this movie. It can't. If for some reason somebody put a copy of it on YouTube, and it was a decent copy, and I was happy about that. I think I linked you guys to that one. And then I hadn't watched it yet, but I was scrolling through Peacock, and I was like, holy shit! It is, I mean, it's a bit of a rough transfer. You know, it looks like it was filmed in the 90s, but it was mid-2000s. Or no, early 2000s. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's that in-between movie where, like, it was technically, I'd imagine, technically an indie flick. I don't think there was much of a budget on this movie.
Yeah, it was a $4 million budget. You know, that went to the people it went to in this movie,
Walken
clearly.
and Chaz.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's I imagine it's a combination of that and
Well-
just getting, like, the other location permits or something. Like, you know, I
Also-
don't know how expensive it is as far as, like, permits and shooting locations and all of that shit either to film a movie. I do
For
my
certain-
shit guerrilla style.
For certain movies, they do have to, you know, they're all part of the SAG, so they have to do certain movies for X amount of dollars.
Mhm.
So this could have been one of those movies that they
Oh.
saw was really good.
Also, I've heard stories Walken doesn't turn down roles.
Yeah.
Like, Christopher Walken doesn't have a cell phone. He doesn't read his email. Like, you have to call him and offer him the part. And, like, I think there was an interview once where he said he'd never turned down a role because he was just happy that people are offering him work. So, like, Walken probably wasn't crazy expensive.
That
Chaz
explains
Palminteri-
Hairspray.
Chaz Palm, well, he was able to dance a lot in that.
Yeah.
Chaz Palminteri probably didn't cost a ton. Ricky Schroeder at this point was kind of a nobody now. He's a former, you know, childhood actor. So, like, none of these guys in this movie probably took a whole lot of money, to be honest.
Ernie Reyes Jr.
Like, they're, you know, like, in 2002, I mean, even Walken wasn't like a triple, you know what I mean? Like, everybody knows Christopher Walken, but think about the later roles in his career. A lot of them were just like whatevers
Mhm.
at this point, at least.
When was Rundown made? Because Ernie Reyes is in that one too.
Rundown has got to be
Is
05, maybe 06.
so that was like maybe 3 or 4 more years later.
Yeah, I mean, I love Christopher Walken, but I just don't know if like went to Travolta.
Oh, Walker was in that too. Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think Walken was the villain.
yeah.
Rundown. Oh, Rundown's amazing.
That's
Rundown,
such a good movie.
still to this day, Rundown is the best rock movie in my opinion.
Absolutely, I agree. Yes.
Like, and that's when he wasn't super steroid yet, too. It was just where he was like wrestling sized.
So
Is-
apparently, The Rock and some of the other guys tried to go around everybody's back and tried to get Black Adam 2 made, and nobody's fucking happy with The Rock about that right now.
Well, there's a whole lot of shit with him. Like, apparently they basically are accusing DC is accusing him of using Henry Cavill as Superman as leverage. They are saying that what it was is he brought Henry Cavill back not because he cared about the character in the universe, but so he could be the guy that said, I brought back Henry Cavill. And then, you know, I mean, look at the Instagram post he did after it was announced. It took a lot of time. Nobody wanted him. The whole post is about how he brought him back.
It's
So,
the ego.
so that's the whole thing is they're accusing The Rock basically of trying to undermine DC's plans for what they want to do with their universe by trying to kind of weaponize the social media aspect of his power, which I could see that. I mean, you're also talking of a guy who engaged in wrestling politics as well.
The Rock is very much in these years I've noticed is very much me.
Oh, he's got yeah. I
Like
mean,
me.
the ego is almost as
oh.
big as his biceps.
I mean, look how bad it got with the fucking Fast movies.
Well,
Like the
I'm
minute he was in that movie, like they were like, no.
I'm on his side on that one though, because like
I don't know. I feel like The Rock was the Brie Larson of the fucking.
I don't know.
Nobody wanted to work with her.
You gotta remember though that split only came. Wait, I honestly hear The Rock is. He's definitely a cunt. But like the thing about it is, at least Vin Diesel versus The Rock. If you watch the timeline of events, Vin Diesel hyped the fact up that he was in it because he knew it was going to bring popularity.
Mhm.
And then the moment The Rock got the Hobbs and Shaw movie was when the relationship fractured. And I guarantee you it was a thing of Vin Diesel going, oh, you're taking my franchise and you're going to make money in your own movie that I'm not in off of it. And that was, and here's the thing. Hobbs and Shaw was a better movie than the last 5 Fast and the Furiouses. Have you seen Hobbs and Shaw?
I've seen portions
not
of
watched
Hobbs
it,
and
You
Shaw.
know what? Plain and simple, it's a dumb, fun buddy cop action movie.
I can't remember any Fast and the Furious movie after fucking Tokyo Drift, which had
Dude,
nothing to do
well,
with any
no,
of them.
Fast 5 is the best Fast and the Furious movie since the original. I love
The only one I can remember is
Fast
1, 2, and Tokyo Drift.
Fast 5 is the one where they're
So the first 3.
Yeah, Fast 5 is, if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it, but if you have seen it, you just don't remember it. Fast 5 is the one where they're in Brazil and they've got the vault they're dragging behind them with the cars and they're just
Okay, then
wrecking.
I've seen that on cable.
Dude,
Okay.
that is the best Fast and the Furious movie but it's not like, it's less of a Fast and the Furious movie and more of like an action heist movie though, to be honest with you. I think his muscles are bigger than his acting career sometimes. Hobbs and Shaw is a duo for sure, but it was just a duo comedic type of stuff, which is usually oversaturated. I liked Hobbs and Shaw because it was a big dumb action adventure. Like the Fast and the Furious movies are taken so seriously, but they're so goofy. That's the problem with them is they don't even. If the Fast and the Furious had a sense of humor about itself, it would be a different story. But they make those movies like they're Oscar-worthy fucking serious movies, and they're not. They're goofy
Yeah, they're
as
not.
shit. Like
They only have a serious undertone because you need an arc to bring the movie in,
well,
like to end it.
and it's
Like,
always the
that's it.
same serious undertone. Somebody gets kidnapped, somebody dies, and we need revenge. The moon is going to explode. Whatever their fucking ridiculous storyline they've got in the next one is.
That was a different movie.
Like, oh yeah, whoops, Moonraker. But like that's the thing is like, if Vin Diesel didn't have such the ego he fucking has, then the Fast and Furious movies would be better. Like the fact that Dom is almost a fucking superhero at this point. Like he's literally a goddamn garage collapses and he's just like, whatever. He literally gets launched across it. He gets launched across an expressway and dives into the windshield holding what's her face and is just like gonna be sore. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're not a superhero. You're not Deadpool.
It just gets
Gonna be
monetized over the
sore.
same
Gotta
storyline.
sit in my massage chair tonight because Dom is gonna be sore. It is. It's basically. But the problem is they make a lot of money, but they're getting more and more expensive. Like I've read the new one is like $100 million over budget.
Yeah.
So it's like, at what point are you like? Where are you at Black Adam status, where it's $800 million to break even? You know what I mean?
I've gave up on watching Vin Diesel movies, and the only reason I'd come back is if he makes another fucking Riddick movie.
I thought you were say Iron
No,
Giant.
Yeah.
No, I need more Groot. I will say that movie, even the last
Pitch
Riddick,
Black
which
was
is
amazing.
well, the last Riddick is the weakest in my opinion.
It is,
I think
absolutely.
Pitch Black is the gold standard.
Yeah.
Chronicles is, if you watch the unrated cut, it's better, but it's here's the thing, it's maybe a better framed movie because it's got a much higher budget, so like the CG and shit is better, but it's not. Pitch Black is a sci-fi horror movie.
It is, yeah.
Chronicles of Riddick is an action adventure, and then Riddick is somewhat back to sci-fi horror, but it's much more of a character arc for him that, you know, you mix a bloodbath with, which is why I appreciated the
drama
last one.
action.
Yeah. Yeah, I would watch another Riddick. I
would watch it.
Wasn't there talks of that?
Yeah, it's there's always talks of him fucking getting his hands into everything he can.
I think that's why he's stepping up Dom's acting. He's like, see, I could play Riddick again. Like, all this crazy shit.
I mean, here's the thing: is he was heavily in charge of that last one, and it came out okay. So like, just keep kind of going down that temple, and I'll watch them until they get too goofy. But it also is like, where does the Riddick story go now, though? Because he's kind of like, the way they frame him is he's going back to civilization almost. Well, no,
Yeah.
I mean, yes and no. Like, he made more. It's like, where do you go with the character? I honestly, and I'm gonna say this again, I know the guy who does Kratos' mocap and everything wants to play him in the Amazon Prime show. If we're doing it based upon this game's story, can we get Triple H to play Kratos? Go look at Triple H his last few times in the ring without a shirt. He is literally Kratos' body in the new game. Like, 1-to-1.
If this whole WWE thing falls through, maybe Triple H will go to acting.
Well, he already tried, and Blade 3 is one of the worst movies ever made. Not necessarily his fault, though. Wesley Snipes, I think, owns the blame. Between that and the just shitty movie. It was badly written. The CG was garbage.
Yeah.
And most
the story was like, what the fuck?
Most of Wesley Snipes' scenes was his stunt double.
Didn't Triple H's character have like a poodle or something like that? Like
either that or the girl that he
poodle?
was with. Yeah, there was a little vampire like poodle
I think
dog.
Triple H did have the dog.
I just remember
Yeah.
like they're trying to escape and he gets hit in the eye with an arrow and he's just like "Brrr," as he's running. Poor Triple H, Paul Levesque. I still say for the Amazon Prime show, he would be a good Kratos as far as like physique. He's older now. Like Kratos is just mainly grunts. You know, in the new one, he's got more dialogue, but in the first one, he just does a lot of grunting, and then like when it's basically, what's her face is Jennifer Lawrence is acting in the Hunger Games. It's either crying or it's either crying or yelling. Instead, it's either grunting or yelling for Kratos. Yeah, she's a bad actress, guys. I don't know if you know that. People hate when you say that actresses they like are bad and actors they like are bad. She's not a good actress. She's got two modes: crying and yelling.
From what I understand, she can't walk very well either.
Yeah. What?
When she was on the award show, she kept tripping over her dress.
That was
upstairs.
fake as fuck. All
Multiple
award shows
times.
are fake. The slap never happened. Will Smith is like, oh, it did. And it's watch my movie Emancipation.
Eddie Murphy used it as a joke in
Yeah, the 3 things you could do to make sure your career stays ahead. Never ever.
I thought it was funny.
I do want to watch that You People movie. He plays a father and Jonah Hill is trying to date his daughter. It looks fucking awesome. Like Eddie Murphy also did come out.
I think he's
saying,
like a Muslim black man in that movie.
Well, he's come out and said he's not going to cater to the woke shit either. Like his next stand up will be whatever he wants it to be.
Yeah,
I hope so, because he is legitimately fucking funny.
He's definitely going to have to calm down on the other F word.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to throw that on in front of your, like, well, here's the thing. Let's be honest. If you're a black dude around our age, you've seen Raw. So you're
Oh,
good there. You're good. But can you imagine trying to put on Raw in front of these like lily white woke people
Oh,
and
dude,
just watch
they
their
would melt.
fucking heads explode? It's like scanners, man. That guy's head just exploded.
They would absolutely melt. They would not.
I mean, yeah, and that's the crazy thing is Raw is like one of the best stand-up comedy specials ever.
That's the one where he also talks about the GI Joe and his brother, right?
I believe so. It's the one with the Raw is the one with the leather suit, right? The red
The
leather
red,
suit.
the red,
The
leather
red. That's
suit.
Raw. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's Raw.
yeah, that's one of the best stand-ups ever. Also,
Yeah.
I was
So
talking about
good.
Richard Pryor the other day. Like, I don't know. Do you prefer drug addict Pryor or burn victim Pryor? Because the comedy changed. His comedy went from joke writing to like joke writing about real life.
Mostly about himself.
Yeah, which I don't know, man. It's two sides of it. Same thing with Carlin. Carlin was
It
was
yeah.
comedy, and then late stage Carlin was basically like, here's a joke, and I fucking hate you. Like,
But
he's
they
angry.
both have peaks in both those versions of them. Like that's what makes it so hard that they're still good even after the fucking situation.
I'm still gonna say, and I've said this before, and whatever. If somebody takes it wrong, I'm a huge fan of black comedy, not dark comedy, Afro-American comedy. I love African-American stand-ups. I love black comedy movies. They are another guilty pleasure. Well, I have seen Welcome Home Roscoe Jenkins way too many fucking times. I love these movies. Soul Plane, the fried like I'm gonna get you, sucker. Meteor
Soul
Man
Plane was really good. Oh,
like, come on. And like, I'm gonna say this: as big as he was at one point, people need to stop shitting on Cat Williams.
even
I think
the
he's funny as
funeral.
fuck.
No, Cat Williams is hilarious.
But because he's kind of kooky, people have just shat all over him.
We were at when I worked at a company in the airport. Cat Williams walks by, and we're like, "What up, Mr. Cat?" And he goes, "Hello, sir." And he keeps walking, and we're like, "Oh, Cat Williams." And like 2 minutes later, he comes back with his bags, puts them down. He's like, "I am so sorry. That was really rude of me. How you doing?" And I'm like, "Hi." Like, like I didn't know what to do.
I
Like,
don't even remember what movie it's from, but the scene where he's in prison and it's the white baby she's trying to tell him is his kid.
He's like, that baby's mine. Mine. He's like, that white baby. No.
He's like, I don't know that is a full grown man. Hello, sir. Nice to meet you. I don't know you. Cat Williams got big, but like he really got thrown out of the mainstream.
he did.
That baby
I
ain't
understood
mine.
he did some shit, but like, what comedian hasn't? Like, somebody.
Well,
They've all said shit and
the
done
problem
shit.
is some of the shit he's done is been recorded fighting a 16-year-old and losing.
Yeah, that was bad. I remember that video.
I'm
was
gonna
really
say
bad.
American Hustle is one of the one of the greatest stand-ups. Like the whole thing
Yes.
about when he talks about getting his ass beat by his ma, I'm fucking PTSD flashbacking and laughing at the same time.
American Hustle and I think Pimponomics, I think, or something like that.
Pimpedelic.
Yes.
He hopped over to he's on Wild and Out now. Oh, anything tied to Nick Cannon should be shot.
Yeah.
Nick Cannon and his fucking army of children. Oh my!
I was gonna
God.
say, did you see the meme where it's Nick Cannon in front of the Matrix monitors that the architect have, and it's Nick Cannon zooming his kids for Christmas? It's just all the fucking screens. I saw that meme around Christmas, and I was like, "Oh, that's dirty. That's great, but it's dirty."
He was in the original cast.
See,
of season
I would
1.
watch that. I will never watch Nick Cannon Wild and Out. I would watch a Cat Williams host of Wild and Out. I'm gonna watch.
Wasn't Cat Williams
tonight.
also on
Me
a
too.
Grand Theft Auto TV? Wasn't it one of his skits?
He was
I
either on
think
the radio
so.
or he was like, remember in Grand Theft Auto 4 they had comedy clubs? I think he performed in one of those too, because Ricky Gervais is in Grand Theft Auto 4.
Really?
He's one of the guys that you can go into
Yep.
the theater and watch do stand up. Felt like that was down the spiral of where he could have done better. I mean, you got to remember, I think the other problem a lot of these, especially comedians, have is substance abuse. Whether it's alcohol,
Yeah.
drugs, like the more money you have, the easier access you have to the shit that could really fuck you up in life. And I've never had that. Like that's got to be a good feeling, right? But it's got to
For
be
multiple women.
an overwhelming power of like, wait a second, I'm rich now, so like if I say I want cocaine, you'll go get me cocaine. Like, wait, you have pills? Like, it's got to be a weird, because they're all yes men, right? Because the whole
Yeah.
idea is you go to the club and you pay for everything. You cover the check.
But
They supply you with the shit that fucks you up.
They never get caught buying the stuff. They only get caught holding the stuff.
Like,
Yeah.
If you ever notice, or if they happen to OD.
as
well,
much
they
as,
they
as
did all
much-
their shit in hiding. That's why. Like it was
Well, look
all
at-
behind.
their
look at Bruno
lackeys go
Mars.
get it. and
He
come
got
back.
arrested with a speedball in the fucking bathroom. Like,
Yep.
like here's the thing, right? Snoop Dogg, as much as I don't like Snoop Dogg, snitches get stitches for one thing. But as much as I don't like Snoop Dogg, he's got it right. Stay home and just smoke a shitload of weed.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, like with as strong
And
as
pay
weed is
someone to roll 'em
nowadays
for
too,
you.
like you can get some seriously heinously strong weed, especially if you live in California. Like just stick to
What
that.
does his roller gets paid?
And if
like
you want to
80
step it up, they're
200,000?
It's like
legalizing.
50 grand a year or something ridiculous.
They're legalizing mushrooms. So you know.
I
you
would,
do
yeah,
you.
I've also heard arguments from a friend of the stream, Earthbound, that like Molly and shit should be legalized as well.
No.
Well, his argument is, and once again, it's within his own experience, and he's usually had good, like, you know, he goes to a rave or whatever, and he pops whatever, and he has a nice time, and then he goes home and he's fine. Like, I don't know how much of the negative he's experienced from it, but his thing is very much like it's a chemical, it's engineered, like. I think he's from the Netherlands, which the drugs are less controlled over there too. I
Also,
believe.
there's not a lot of driving where he's from too, because everybody uses bikes.
You can
or-
crash
I
your
will say-
bicycle.
I will
Yeah.
say if it's engineered properly and not cut crazy, like the shit
Well, yeah,
is.
well,
that,
like
you know-
if you legalized it, then like I can go to a weed
Then it would be the
shop.
government selling it to you.
Theoretically,
Oh, that's different. Then that's different.
you
Okay,
should be
yeah.
able to, and that's where I really do appreciate the decriminalization. Is don't get me. I've been a smoker for a long time, and frankly, I got tired of the same old parking lots and viaducts and shady places. And hey, come to my apartment and grab it. And honestly, it's nice to be able to go to a website, look at a menu, know exactly what strength I'm getting, and go in and get out. And I think if you were to legalize it in that realm, where people can go to a designated shop and have somebody explain to them exactly what they might be feeling and what the potency and everything is, I think you would make it safer overall. But then again, you're going to have the streets try to compete, right? So whatever you got in the shops, you're going to have either the streets will have that product as well, or they're going to be lacing it with something to go stronger. Which, death.
I think the
Mhm.
Netherlands is the one where all drugs are legal.
He says he
They
has a
don't
good
have
time with
really-
it.
Yeah, they don't really have. I think it's the Netherlands.
It's very little control over there as far as
Yeah.
restriction.
Because there's a country on this planet where they don't really have restrictions on drugs. like all
Country,
drugs.
I believe Washington or Oregon is like that.
Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon. Yep.
Yeah.
That's where that's where they started legalizing mushrooms. I believe Oregon was the
Here's
first
the other
one.
thing, right? Like, here's the other thing. Birth rates are down, right? People aren't having kids at the same rate. And there's concern with that. If you really want to increase that, don't you want as many drugs as possible that make people want to fuck? Like, shouldn't Molly make it legal and maybe people go home and bang instead of going to sleep at night? Like if we're really concerned about the population, let's start doing stuff so people want to bang. And for one thing, after 9 p.m., only Barry White and Tom Jones, every radio station.
every
So
single
it doesn't matter if you're driving back from the Outback Steakhouse full of fucking bloomin' onion. Barry White's on, lulling you to go fucking home. By the way, here's no longer you don't get mints, you get a very small Molly. Just enough to kick that system in. Let's do things right. Come on. Fuck dinner mints. Give me a Molly. I got a good drive home.
That's a good name for it too. Fuck dinner mints.
Fuck dinner
Fuck
mints. There you
dinner
go.
mints, yeah.
I should have branded that years ago. I could sell it next to the horny honey at the blunt shop I go to. It depends, but I feel like Molly would increase. Oh, you know what? I've never done it. So is that maybe that's a thing? I don't know. I thought people when they're on like LSD
I
and
think
shit
it's
always want to
ecstasy.
fuck.
I think ecstasy and
What's up, Deuce?
Heyo.
I don't know. I've never done Molly or ecstasy or any of that. LSD, acid. Yeah, I don't know. I'm already kind of fucked up in the head. I don't need anything to like further that. You know what I mean?
I've done a little bit of acid and different times. Like everything was different each time. Not everything was all the same.
Well, here's my problem, right? If I wig out, who the fuck is gonna stop me? I mean, I'm just being real. 6'4" and 6'3", 6'4", depending on the shoes. I'm a big dude. Like, if I fucking freak out, my wife can't stop me. My fucking brother, nobody can stop me. I'm gonna go get arrested, fucking half naked, running down Village Hall.
Those tasers that the police have will stop you.
I got a lot of fat, man. I don't know. Those tasers are 50-50 with a guy like me. If they hit the right fucking section, you're just getting fat. You ain't getting nothing. You gotta stick into the meat for that shit to work. I am muscular though, so if they hit me in the back or arms or shoulders, I might be a little fucked there. That's a good point. But if you get me in the keg, I'm gonna be charging you then next, copper. I'm high on fucking Molly. I don't know what I'm or acid. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm wigging out. You look like a giant purple people eater. And I need to battle you in open combat. Poor fucking police in my village is just like, we don't know how to handle this. He keeps talking in a Russian accent, saying he's Rhino from Spider-Man. I don't know what to do. He's lost it.
It's not a baby.
Yeah, you don't want me wigging out on a fucking
That's
substance,
in my belly.
right? I want it. Like I'm Jack Nicholson screaming about his over easy eggs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just lose it. You know, there is a movie we were reviewing that we just kind of fucking abandoned there. So, I mean, we really talked about it. I think it's time to give the movie some numbers, some hot dogs. Yeah, by the way, if you're new, we review things on a Chicago dog scale. If you are unfamiliar with a Chicago dog, it is sesame seed bun, yeah? That's
Poppy-
standard.
poppy
Poppy
seed.
seed. Poppy seed bun.
Poppy seed.
Vienna beef, although Nathan's, things like that can be substituted as long as it's an all beef dog.
Hebrew National.
Hebrew
Yeah, it has to
National.
be beef,
Yeah, it's got to
yeah.
be an all beef dog. You got a dill pickle spear, onion, tomato, sport peppers, mustard. So this is where I delineate, but the really
Brown relish.
overly dyed green relish, I prefer a sweet, like the basic Vlasic relish. But then celery salt. And here's the problem with like a good hot dog spot compared to a bad one. Bad hot dog
Celery
spots
salt.
just over it.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Poppy that Vienna and no ketchup. Yeah, you can. If you live in Chicago, you can't have ketchup on a hot dog.
Remember, we have guns in Chicago. We'll shoot you. You put ketchup on your hot dog.
Yeah, and
That's
some
why
of
I
us
take
have
ketchup
guns that
packets and I put it on when I sit down.
some of us have guns that are legal too. You put ketchup on your hot dog?
Yep.
You've never been run out
I
of the
don't.
city for that?
There was a place
I
at
take it
there's
for
a
my
place
french
at
fries.
O'Hare where if you ask for ketchup on your hot dog, they will tell you no and give you your money back.
That's a little
It
bit
even has a
pompous, but-
sign there that says "Do not ask for ketchup on your hot dog."
We went to a Sox game and it was Jen's company like sponsored it, and before the game they had like things where you could eat food, right? And they had burgers and hot dogs. And I understand the ketchup was there for the burgers. But like in my head I was like, why would you put ketchup up here? Like some asshole's gonna come up and put ketchup on their hot dog, and some drunk Southside Irish white trash is gonna punch him in the mouth. Simply because he put ketchup on his fucking hot dog. Like, that's how serious these people take it. I don't remember what I was watching, but somebody said people in Chicago put something on their hot dogs, and I was just like, what? Like it was something that we don't at all. No, it was like a vegetable. It wasn't cabbage. It wasn't sauerkraut. It was something else. But they were like, they put that on hot dogs in Chicago, and I was like, the fuck are you talking about?
Seattle,
Chili
I believe
cheese.
they put cream cheese.
What?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't want that texture. Like, don't get me wrong. I'll do a Polish and some sauerkraut.
Oh, sounds so
Like
good.
some, with some grilled onions. Like, I'm down with that. All right.
You sure
yeah.
you're from Naperville?
Well, see, that's the thing, right? Like, and this is the same discussion we have with pizza. Chicago pizza is not deep dish. I hate to tell you. It's not. Your average Chicagoan who eats pizza eats thin crust. If they order a deep dish, it's because they have the taste for it or they have friends in town.
It's either pan or thin crust.
Yeah, only tourists think Chicago pizza is deep dish. Have we created a different type of pizza and we're known for it too? Yes. But your average Chicagoan is not ordering a deep dish when they order pizza. They're ordering thin crust.
Calzones are good though.
Dude, there's this place over by me that sells a extra large calzone, and I ordered it one day. It's literally a 14-inch pizza box, and the thing's gigantic. Like, I don't know how they fried the fucking thing because it's this big. Like, they literally must have just like bloop in the oil and just this giant dumb fucking. It was basically they took a pizza and folded it in half and deep fried it. It was weird, but it tasted all right.
Legit.
They could
deep
do
dishes, tomato soup.
a buttercoat broil. They could do that.
Hey man, Lou Malnati's is good, but who the fuck calls it authentic? For one thing, it's a butter crust. Butter crust is as far from authentic Chicago as you can get. However, Lou Malnati's is pretty fucking tasty.
Illuminati's and Giordano's people talk about all the time.
I'm sorry, Pequod's is not Chicago pizza. Pequod's is goddamn sponge crust.
It's a college.
Yeah, Pequod's is not Chicago.
Pequod's is not Chicago. It's bar pizza, and it's way too much bread. Although I will say, I haven't had it in years.
I would argue Uno's pizza is more of a Chicago
Pizzeria Uno.
pizza. Yeah,
I mean the original.
What is the other one? Giordano's.
Giordano's is more Chicago.
Pete's.
The original Father and Son.
Oh, Father and Son, yeah.
And Carino's over on Addison.
Yep.
There used to be John's on Belmont and Lincoln, but I don't know if they exist anymore, to be honest with you.
Belmont and Lincoln? No, there's no pizza place
Is that
over
the
there.
restaurant one?
There's literally like, it used to be on Belmont just past Lincoln. Like maybe a block down.
I don't think that's there anymore, yeah.
I haven't been on the north side, 6 or whatever years it is now. So like
we
a lot
only
of
go
Art of Pizza. You guys ever order that anymore?
Side?
I've never had Art of Pizza. No.
Really?
A couple times.
Uno's is starting to blow up around here now on this side.
Is it really?
South side, yeah. They used to be south side.
Well, downtown. I mean, downtown's not south side. Pizzeria, remember Pizzeria Uno's
Comiskey
downtown.
Park. That's Comiskey Park or whatever you want to call it. Field. That's their number one pizza.
The thing about Comiskey is it's like 35th where it's on is cool, like because it's the stadium. But as soon as you leave the stadium, it turns back to shit.
The only pizza I can't stand is fucking Papa John's. I don't know how that fucking.
Dude, Papa John's is a diarrhea factory.
It's disgusting.
I haven't had it.
Shaq is so invested in it.
Dude, I have because he's got an iron gutter. That guy must just shit all liquid.
His Shaq-a-roni pizza.
The last time I had Papa John's, and I say last time because it screwed me up so bad, I told Jen we're never ordering it again.
I got sick, and I'm like, I can't fucking do this.
Like, don't get me wrong. I remember the flavor being okay. Like, it wasn't authentic, but it was better than Pizza Hut. Although I will say Domino's for chain pizza has stepped up their game. They're not. The last time I had them, they're not too bad. But Papa John's was the one pizza where I'd eat it, and it was like 10 minutes later, I'm just like, that may have been a bad choice.
Before the whole pandemic, they actually ran away. They took that fucking ball and ran with it with the whole internet thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ordering online, you watch the little ticker telling you when it's ready.
Well, also give them credit. They expanded their menu. They have that 2 for $7 or $8 or whatever it is, and it's like you can get a salad, you can get this.
And they changed their dough recipe.
Yeah.
That was the best thing they've ever done.
Like we used to.
It used to be salty.
God, I remember getting the $5 Little Caesar pizzas, and those were literally only because you either only had $5, it was on the way home, or you had a hangover.
Ready.
Like that was the only reason. Yeah, that was the only reason you ever ordered them because like Little Caesars is truly awful.
Yeah.
My friend's kid only eats Little Caesars pizza. And
you know what? They have unsophisticated palates.
And they were talking about that they're going to take the trip to Washington, and the kid is worried that they're not going to have any food because there's no Little Caesars out there for him to eat pizza. Because that's all he eats.
Like I'm just gonna say this.
Oh, no.
I say this about all parenting decisions. They should have been beaten. Prove me wrong. I guarantee if those kids were victims of domestic violence, they'd eat something other than Little Caesars.
I was telling
as soon as their mouth started feeling better after the backhand they got.
My niece asked me, she's like, what was it like when you were a kid? I was like, well, we got our ass whooped a lot, and we got to stay out till midnight.
You remember this thing about like if let's say your dad hits you in public, people around you will gather and kind of shun him and shame him. That didn't exist. In order to get if your parents got in trouble, like my mom, I don't know if I've ever said it on the show, but we know because we've known each other for years. My mom was investigated by DCSF, which is the
DCFS.
Department
DCFF
for Child
dyslexia. That acronym she was investigated by. And here's the thing. She was entirely guilty. Because what happened is she beat the shit out of my brother in front of school, or right before taking him to school, and then was like,
I
basically,
thought it was in front of school.
it was either in the way he tells the story is she slapped the shit out of him and hit him in the face a bunch, and basically was like, get in fucking class. And he walked into the school, or was walking into the doors, and the one mother of one of the other kids saw his face and he was crying, and she's like, what happened? And he was like, my mom just slapped the shit out of me. No big deal.
I ran into the door.
Like, no, we didn't make excuses. We weren't allowed to. No. You don't lie. Lies got more hits. So he goes in, and then next thing you know, is like a week later or whatever, we're in class and we both get pulled out. And I remember very little of it, but I remember walking, like seeing him waiting at the office and being like, why are you here too? Because at first it was like, I must be in trouble, right? And then I see him and I'm like, is somebody dead? Like, I remember thinking that. And so I go in first, and of course they ask all these questions. They're like, your mom hit you? And of course, lie about every single motherfucking one of them, because as bad as it is, foster care is worse. So I lied, and then he remembers.
Wait, you said it gets worse if you lie. You just said that.
You want to lie to the right people, it might not get.
Okay.
You got to remember, the circle of hell you're in, as bad as it is still more comfortable than the unknown circle of hell. So then he remembers this. I don't, but he remembers I walked out and like I told him, like, don't tell him anything. Like, as I'm like I'm a fucking psychopath. I think I was like 8 or something. But as I'm
to your brothers, snitches get
no,
stitches.
basically he remembers being like, me being like, they're gonna ask you a bunch of shit. Don't tell them it. Like, don't tell them mom hits us. So she, was certain. They cleared her and everything. But yeah, like, you really had to rough your kid up in that time period in public to get any attention. Mm-hmm. And nowadays it's like you give a little pat on the ass, and it's like you got every fucking person in a quarter mile.
You had to get past bruising. I feel like there had to be swelling and blood for you to get called.
Okay, so you basically
like 10 or
had to
11.
be the kid from Kindergarten Cop. That's just like you touch him on the shoulder and he's like, ah. And then you go beat. Schwarzenegger goes and beats the shit out of his father. That kid.
I was like 10 or 11, and I went and there was this bar that had this whole thing for family Halloween in their back end area, and I was part of their haunted house, and my father didn't want me to go down Roscoe, but I was a part of that thing. When I was coming home, as I was walking, my father caught me on like the next block over. He fucking took off his leather sandal, the fucking like 2 or 3 inch soles. He fucking whooped me with that all the way up until the next block. When I got home, from my fucking back to my in like right up the bend of my knees, I was fucking welted and fucking bruised.
I like to think that because my mom just used her fists, I like to think that because she beat us so bad, that's why she got the bad arthritis and was in so much pain later on before her death. Like, I like to think it's a little bit of a goodbye fuck you in the end here. Of like, hope you enjoyed the arthritis that you got from beating our fucking heads in.
If karma was real, that's what it was.
Basically, it's like that. Isn't that karma? Like, you rough up your kids to the point where they're just like violent assholes as they get older, and later in life now your hands are all fucked up because the arthritis is so bad. Like, that's karma. Like, you get what you sow, and then you die.
And then you die.
Anywho, hot dogs. As I was saying, we rate things out of 5 hot dogs. Chicago dogs. We're gonna start with the person who's never seen this. Giovanni, what you got on this one?
Like I said, the beginning of this movie was a little off-putting because of the way it starts. But once you get past that hump, the writing in it, really well done. Like, the little back and forths they have with each other, are, if you're paying attention.
Yeah, the dialogue is great.
Yeah, they're really good.
And it's almost
really
like
good.
a kind of like an RPG in the point of, like, most of what happens in these characters' lives in this movie is all dialogue based.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like one conversation to the next. There's very little of, like, besides the scene where they bust up his hand or when Chaz Palminteri gets taken by the group of black dudes, there's not really action. There's not a whole lot. It's more just of a dramedy. Like, it's funny.
Yeah.
You know, there isn't a whole lot of, like, this isn't a good movie to, like, it's not a heartfelt movie. There's not one of those moments that's just like, oh, like, that really doesn't exist in this movie.
The one nerdy guy that they think he's gay, but he's not. He's more worried about a woman with stuffed
Dude,
animals.
his interaction with the woman is like, "Do you have stuffed animals?" No.
And then she's like, choke me. He's like, what? He's like, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. He has no fucking luck with women at all.
Oh man, the fact that they circle around, they circle around to the girl's breasts.
Yeah.
Like if they're fake, if they're real at the end there, that was hilarious. Like they circle around on everything in this one, and Christopher Walken's at the end. This movie. Like, so you can't go wrong. I enjoyed this movie way more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. This is a 4 for me. I would watch this absolutely again.
4. All right. While Matt's doing it, I'll go next. For me, I do still like this movie, and I think this is only like the 3rd time I've actually watched it. It is a 3.5 for me because some of the characters, they're acting. I don't know. It's like the one guy that played the younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept seeing him. Yeah, I just kept seeing him as Lex Luthor, or that one movie he was in as the girls.
Sorority Boys. I love that movie. That movie's great.
I just kept seeing him like that, and I'm like, this is not the tough guy in the pool.
No, yeah, he's kind of like a swarmy, like kind of like, like butthead younger brother.
Yeah, he was pushing it a little bit too much with his acting ability. Trying to be this guy that's.
Have you ever watched his podcast?
No,
it's actually pretty decent. Like
I didn't even know he had one.
Yeah, he's got one where he had Kiefer Sutherland and the other dude, something Patrick, not Robert Patrick, the other guy that was in Lost Boys with him. Jason Patrick. He had both of them on one day. That was a good he does an okay job interviewing. Like it's not a bad podcast.
Well, yeah, I've seen him in other things, like, but I'm just saying, like, for this one, and it seemed like he was trying to push that tough guy act. Like when he was trying to play the guitar in the pawn shop, he's telling the brother, "What are you trying to insult me?"
Yeah.
Like the way he was saying,
he's very douchey.
Yeah. But
I agree with that one.
But overall, it was something I still enjoyed. But it is a 3.5 for me. Just like the nostalgia thing, it kind of brought back like memories of me with pool, and then like some of the things was like real, and then some of the things was just like, what the fuck, like it doesn't really happen like that.
Well, you're not a hustler, Alex. You don't know how it goes.
But one thing you do have to remember when you're playing pool is if you own your own stick, don't fucking give it to anybody. I learned that hard lesson. I let somebody hold it.
This guy's a real pool player. Doesn't call it a cue. Fucking poser.
They fucking broke it, and that pissed me off the most.
Those aren't cheap either.
No,
those are not.
But 3.5 for me.
You should have stabbed him in the stomach with the splintered end. Fuck that person.
I couldn't do that to her. No.
Fuck her. No, like you should have just fucked her.
No, that I wouldn't have done either.
Do you hear that tone in his? Oh no. He had the tone in his voice of like, oof, bad suggestion, buddy. No. That was an immediate like. Next guy.
She's also the mother of the child I was talking about with the pizza.
Fucking figures. Little
Giovanni
Caesars
should remember you were pulled over with this person.
Yeah.
Oh boy. How many hot dogs? You said 3.5?
3.5.
I'm gonna go 4 with it. I really like this movie. I was happy to see it on Peacock. I really was, because it kind of disappeared for a while. Like, no digital, only physical releases still, or DVD. So it's like, I hadn't seen it in a while. When it popped up on YouTube, I hadn't gotten time to watch it, but I was excited. Then I saw it on Peacock, and it was one of those nights where Jen went to bed early, and I was like, fucking, I'm watching it. So, yeah, easy 4 for me on this one. It's really good. It's on Peacock. Give it a shot. Like I said, if you've seen that Christopher Walken scene, but didn't know what movie it's from, it's this one, and he's got some really great scenes in it. So, I heavily recommend anybody watch it. To be honest with you, like, not a family movie unless your family is, unless you're the type of family like my family, we would watch rated R movies together. But this is a dialogue rated R movie, so definitely not a family movie in that regard. Lots of language, put it that way. Including some of the
It's
stuff,
just-
the no-nos. They say some words that are real no-nos today too.
Just in
Oh,
the
yeah.
first like 10, 15 minutes of it, yeah.
Yeah, so it is. If you, it's definitely not a family movie, but I'd check it out. One of those late nights where you're bored, a little stoned. Check
Also,
it out.
if you don't have a sense of humor, don't watch it.
Yeah, if you can't, I mean, if you don't have a sense of humor, don't watch us. Like, don't get me wrong.
You're in the wrong place.
All I want is people to watch the show and make it more popular so we can reach more people. But this really is a podcast where, like, you have to let your fucking insecurities about language and everything go. Like,
If you have any points of personal privilege, don't watch this fucking movie.
like, I mean, and we're like, and what people, I think, especially if you're new, you don't understand. Like, we've known each other our whole lives, so we're gonna be brutal with each other. You know what I mean? Like, we look at each other as brothers, so it's not, and anything we say is our opinions clearly. But like, I don't know, man. If you can't take the joke, get off the internet. Go watch
you were my
fucking
brother, I wouldn't be
Nickelodeon.
talking to you right now.
Well, if you were your brother, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'd be spitting on you. Literally. I would be here, and then he would be there, and then I would just appear in his fucking camera, like that filter they had for that Smile movie. I would just appear and then start spitting on him.
That would be like, open the package I sent you, and he's gonna open it, and it's
Me?
a bottle. He's like, it's just liquid. He's like, that's spit.
I've got a
No.
timed little piece of C4 to blow the glass up.
No, you open the package and his fucking head pops out and then
Yeah,
goes back in the package.
it's just me, like, hello, and then back in, like
the portal.
yeah, like the chick from The Cake in Under Siege. That is one of the weirdest
Such an
scenes ever.
awkward spot.
It's
Yeah.
so awkward
That
because they
scene is-
literally drug her, and then they go on to
Oh,
take
my
over
God.
the entire fucking carrier, and then she gets out and she's just like, time to dance. And it's just
so
like,
out of place.
hey, Seagal, here's my tits. It's just like, what the fuck is going on here? 69 Mega knows what we're talking about, right? You fucking spam. Look at this. They're really hitting us. How many is that?
Yeah,
3?
dude. Before we got on, I was watching a live stream. They did the same thing. They're coming out in droves.
We're not
pretty
even
bad.
popular either.
Same.
You're spamming the wrong crew, buddy. All right, so we've got a 4, 4, 3.5. I'd say that's good for this week. Next week we are doing Reservoir Dogs and Pulp fucking Fiction. We are
I'm excited.
finally getting into the Tarantino movies, which I've been wanting to do for a while. The last episode of every month is going to be a Tarantino pairing, and we are going in order. So Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, and then what's the next one after? Does that Kill Bill after Jackie Brown?
I thought there was
I-
one more.
'Cause if-
or maybe there's not.
If it's only Jackie Brown and then Kill Bill, we should probably fill the Jackie Brown episode with like From Dusk Till Dawn or something as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember what came after Jackie Brown besides Kill Bill.
I've got it.
Thank you for
somewhere.
watching, Joel. You have yourself a great night as well. Everybody, in fact, have a great evening. We're going to head out for the night. We'll see you guys next week for Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. That'll probably be a slightly long episode. Lots to discuss with those two movies. And Lewis will
Both
be
can
with
be-
us. And we're very big nerds for Tarantino. So there'll be a lot of discussion for those.
Both can be found, I believe, on one's on Netflix and one is on Paramount.
Most of them are streaming.
HBO.
I know I saw Reservoir Dogs. I thought Hulu, but that may have been in conjunction with Stars.
Okay,
or
so
Showtime.
one is Hulu and one is Netflix, I believe.
Yeah, so they're all streamable. Just look them up, watch them, and come join us Friday to join the discussion. If you're a Tarantino fan, we will be talking Tarantino next week, starting off his first 2 movies with lots of stupid trivia. You guys know us. We're going to have stupid factoids. And Lewis and I, when Tarantino was hawking his book and going to all the podcasts, kept talking about it because we kept listening to him because we're fans. So definitely looking forward to that. So we'll see you guys next week. As far as me, I am scheduled to stream tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to try to, but I got to do some shit in the morning. And I may take it off because I'm kind of beat to hell, to be honest with you. But we'll find out tomorrow morning when I wake up, if I wake up. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.